In episode 48 of the Pro Hockey Alumni podcast, we remember the life and career of the fun-loving Boston Bruins goaltender Jim Seaweed Pettie, who passed away on August 31, 2019 at the age of 65. A ninth-round draft pick by the Bruins in 1973, Seaweed played in 118 games with the IHL Dayton Gems between 1973-74 and 1975-76. During that 75-76 season, Pettie went 12-3 in the postseason to lead the Gems to the Turner Cup Championship. Seaweed was known as being rambunctious and combative, as illustrated in that 75-76 campaign when he amassed 145 minutes in penalties, the fifth highest total on the team. Teammate Steve Langdon recently said, and I quote, "I would say he was probably the toughest goalie to ever play the game," end of quote. The Bruins promoted Pettie in 1976-77, placing him with the AHL Rochester Americans, where he would play 43 games while posting an excellent 26-15-1 record. During that year, he also played one NHL game with the Bruins, a victory over Bobby Orr and the Chicago Blackhawks. At the start of the 1977 training camp, Pettie was roomed with author George Plimpton, who was doing research for his upcoming book, Open Net, and because of that, Pettie was often referenced in this book. After another stint in Rochester, Pettie was up with the Bruins for most of the 78-79 season, going 8-6-2 in 19 games as the backup to Gilles Gilbert and Jerry Cheevers. And this would be Seaweed's final tour in the NHL. In retirement, he remained in the Rochester area and was active with the Amerks Alumni. Bruins legend and Alumni president Rick Middleton joins us today to recall his teammate Seaweed Pettie and his unlikely role in was almost one of the most historic goals in Boston Bruins history.
It's a lot of years ago, but I distinctly remember Jim because his personality. He didn't play a lot of games in goal for the Bruins, but when he was here, he made an impact so much that I remember him very well. And not only because of his personality, but his hair. His nickname was Seaweed, and justifiably so. It was a good nickname for a guy that had hair like seaweed. It was long and stringy, like a lot of our hair was back in those days. And but he was a combative goalie, maybe in the way of Hextall, that type of a goalie. He took a lot of penalty minutes in the minors, but when he was up playing for the Bruins, he didn't take any stupid penalties while he was playing in the NHL. But super guy, great team guy, fit in well with the guys on the team when he came up, and had a great sense of humor and just kept everybody in stitches all the time. The one story I distinctly remember was they brought him up in the playoffs in 1979 as a third goalie, which they often have a third goalie dressed just in case of injuries. And it was a famous game in Game 7 in Montreal. And we hadn't lost it yet. As a matter of fact, we were up 3-1 going into the third period. And in between the second and third, Jim came down. He was dressed in a suit, sitting in the stands, and he came down to the dressing room. He came over to me and he says, "Hey, Nifty, I've been watching Ken Dryden." I said, he loves to put his paddle down flat on the ice, and the paddle meaning the hockey, his goalie stick, and as most goalies do today. But Dryden was one of the first to do that in front of him to try to block any shots coming along the ice on him. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Well, gee, thanks, Jim. I'd never really noticed that, but if it's a good knowledge that if I ever notice it, I'll heed the advice." And he said, "Yeah." He says, "If you get a chance, fire it to the far side because it'll go in under the knob because the shaft of the stick is thinner than the bottom of a hockey stick." So I said, "Yeah, that makes sense." So Jim left, and we go out for the third period. of course, Montreal ties it up 3-3, as you know. I think both on power plays. And I scored with 4 minutes to go up 4-3. And if you look at the goal on the tape, I was in the left-hand corner, came around the back of the net on my backhand, and it must have flashed in my brain about firing it to the far side to go in under the knob, because that's what I tried to do on my backhand, but I didn't have the angle. I didn't get out far enough. But because of Jim saying this, I swear I probably wouldn't have made the shot if I didn't think about it. And it didn't go in under the knob. It hit Dryden's blocker on the inside of his blocker and went in through his leg. And, if we had held on and won that game 4-3, I would have given Jim all the credit for winning the Game 7 against the Montreal Canadiens and advancing to the finals against the New York Rangers. But unfortunately, as you know what happened, too many men on the ice. And only a few people know that story, because I've only told it to people here and there like yourself right now, and it never made the press, obviously. But no, Jim gave me a good piece of scouting advice there that could have ended up getting us to the finals and maybe the Stanley Cup, but it was not to be, as you know. That's that's one of my fond memories of Jim Pettie, and I just want to wish him and his family, rest in peace, Jim. And we're going to miss him. I haven't seen him for many years, but as you know, the hockey family is a small one, and there's going to be a lot of people coming out with stories probably similar to mine about Jim and his time playing with different guys in the minors and in the NHL. And,
right.
My condolences to his family.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. Once a Bruin, always a Bruin, and part of that very tight-knit Bruins alumni community, particularly that group of guys in the late 70s, the Boston Bruins. So, Rick Middleton, we appreciate the time today in paying respects to Jim Seaweed Pettie, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Pleasure, Mark. Thank you.